Hi people, welcome to another video. Let me just get this camera angle right. Okay, these are very miniature boards that sort of comes with the Ultrabooks basically, and everything is just jam-packed as you can see here. I've taken the NAND because I'll be reusing that. So your NAND was here. Usually it was 32 gig, but this was upgraded to a 64 gig. Your CPU, your memory controller, your BIOS chip, and I'm assuming that would be the SMC or the whatever it is. I didn't have a proper look at that. Let me just have a quick look at the back. Yeah, the back of the charging IC is here. So yeah, it's likely to be your ITE, the ENE controller is there. You can see here. So it will be some sort of a power related management controller basically. Anyway, so that's not the moral of the story. The moral of the story is the fact that if you're working on these boards, say for example you want to replace the NAND basically, then just a word of caution that just be very careful exposing too much heat onto the CPU and the memory, because you can very easily start damaging the NAND, them two, and the CPU basically. What's happened with this particular board, the Lenovo 100, is that there's underfill on the RAM, the 4 RAM modules and the CPU. So when you're applying heat and there's underfill that's surrounding the solder ball, it creates a pressure. Whereas on a regular basis, if there was no underfill but solder balls underneath, it'll become liquidous. The sphere will become liquidous, which means that it'll just reflow basically. But whereas in cases as such where there is an underfill and the solder ball is sitting in centre of the underfill, it just creates an expansion, and by creating an expansion of some form, it'll just spit out the solder balls out through the edge basically. You'll randomly see little solder balls lying around here and here and so on and so forth. So just be very careful. What I would recommend doing is wrapping these with plenty of layers of the silver tape. Okay, preferably to use a dark infrared system like a Jovi 7500 or a Jovi 8500 when you're working on these. Try and sort of avoid using hot air, because hot air can very easily create the problem that I'm discussing now. So if you don't have a unit like this, then you're just gonna have to take the chances and try and deal with it that way. The other thing is to try and preheat the board, not excessively, because the boards will start warping. So that's another thing for you to bear in mind. Just bear with me. Let me just put this alarm onto snooze. And I would highly suggest to try and make sure that you wrap all this around. Possibly put if you've got a hot air station and nothing else, then possibly put these little copper shim over the components, in general. So for example, one of them here, and maybe a larger one over the RAM, like this. Okay, so layer of Captain tape underneath it, and then a layer of silver tape, and then put these shims over, and then try and sort of apply the heat. But otherwise you will end up damaging the solder balls, and you'll probably have to take all of them off and reball it. iPhone, I think some sort of a shield on some of the tablets, what I've seen, that it drops down on the edge, so it might be worthwhile taking them off and using it. So at least the gap up we have here, once you put the copper shim on, that will not be exposed, that will be covered. So you know what I'm on about, the shield that you get off the phones and tablets and things like that. If you've got a few lying around like that, keep them, because you never know when they're going to be handy. But I think I've covered most of this. The main part of the let me just put this main part of the topic here is be careful when you're working on these midget tiny board that especially when the NAND is situated right next to the RAM. It's like a booby trap by the manufacturer. Why could they not have put the RAM like here or away from these components, basically, like the HP Stream? I did a HP Stream upgrade going back probably a couple of months ago, and I did a live repair. I took the old one off, put a new one on. It was upgraded from a 32 to 64 GB, no problem, nothing at all. But these putting things so close like this is a booby trap. When the board is gone, sack it, sling it in the bin, and get yourself another laptop. Now I know they're not worth a lot of money, but it's worth every bit of shot to try and sort of get it going. You know, it's just, that's just the way things are. It is a throwaway community, but I don't believe in that sort of concept. Otherwise, it's not even worth sort of making an attempt on repairing and refurbishing these sort of boards and these sort of laptops. So yeah, that's all. Just be careful what you do with it, and hope you guys stay well, safe, and I'll speak to you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.